Trump just sent this letter to the Prime Minister of Norway. He's talking about Greenland, of course. He says, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it'll always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. So let me get this straight. One reason we're risking the security of the free world trying to conquer a NATO territory is because Trump didn't win a Nobel Peace Prize. This man is insane. I mean, this is classic Trump being Trump. In a world of politically correct buffoons who sound great but do nothing, Trump adds a little humor. That's all this is. Except in public and behind the scenes, Trump was lobbying for himself to win the Nobel Prize for months. And when he didn't, he was notably upset. And it did turn to policy changes. It was reported it led to him being sour about the Venezuelan oppositional leader who did win it, Maria Corina Machado, which led to her feeling forced to give her prize to him, trying to vie for his support in Venezuela. That's absurd. The real reason Trump hasn't boosted her is because it would be too hard to just plop her into leadership. It's logistically easier to work with the Venezuelan interim president. No one gives away their Nobel Peace Prize unless they feel like it'll help their people. And now Trump is literally saying he's making decisions based off the prize to other leaders, and you still say it's a joke. The future of NATO is at risk. The U.S.-EU trade deal on pause. The EU's never-before-used bazooka option is being discussed to be used on us. This is far more than a joke. Look, there's a reasonable argument to suggest the future security of the free world is better suited if the U.S. has Greenland. One letter about a Nobel Prize directly to the Norway Prime Minister is playful in nature. This man is pathologically insane. Wake the heck up. He's 79 years old. He's realized his time and power is coming to an end, so he's not thinking straight. He's trying to make a real estate acquisition of a NATO territory. He's willing to take everything else down with him if he can. Oh, please, was Louisiana purchase that insane too, or us buying Florida or Alaska? Plus, Trump has aced all his medical tests. Oh my gosh.
Yo, and we are live. Yo, this is S.E.T Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to get into this engagement with Trump. He did a gaggle with the press and a press conference with Caroline Leavitt. So let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. Let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video.
So we saw a great game tonight. Congratulations to Indiana. It was really turned out to be a great game. Two great teams, wonderful teams with a lot of talent. We enjoyed it very much. Our country's doing very well. We have many buildings opening, factories opening. We've never had anything like it. And I think you're going to see results very soon. You're already really seeing them. But we have more money being invested in our country than any country in history. As you know, the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, who's with me right now, has a lot to report. I don't know if you want to say a couple of words, Doug, but you might want to say how well we're doing as a country.
Well, with President Trump's leadership, we've got inflation coming down, we've got investment going up, we've got taxes going down, we've got energy prices down. Everything is aligned for us to have a banner year in 2026, and the interest in building and investing in our country has never been greater. There's never been anything like it. The money being invested in our country is unparalleled. There's never been anything even close, by many times more than China or any other country. Do you have any questions?
What will President Davos do? What will be your message?
Well, I think I have a lot of messages for Davos, but the primary message is how well the United States is doing. And I say it all the time. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country, and now we have the hottest country in the world. I mean, you're beneficiaries too. You look, some of you have 401ks. You don't have to tell me your numbers are the best they've ever been. And the stock market's at an all-time high. We are just doing great. So I think the message in Davos, we're leaving, have an interesting time. We have a lot of meetings.
I mean, yeah, after the Democrats was pretty much threatening a recession. Oh, my God, we're about to fall into economic turmoil. That never happened, by the way. GDP's up, inflation's down. We ended out with a positive job growth. So we're kind of looking at the Democrats like, yeah, you kind of inflated things. You kind of made things seem like they were going to go down the toilet, but we're actually looking at decent economic numbers. Now, they still don't want to admit that. They'll sit there and downplay the numbers. But I mean, let's be honest here. We are in a way better place than we were under Biden, or at least in 2024.
Schedule, but the message for Davos is how incredible our country is doing.
Did you see your letter that you wrote to the Prime Minister saying that the Nobel Prize has influenced your thinking on Greenland?
No, I don't care about the Nobel Prize. First of all, a very fine woman felt that I deserved it and really wanted me to have the Nobel Prize.
and I appreciate that. If anybody thinks that Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize, they're just kidding. They have a board, but it's controlled by Norway, and I don't care what Norway says. But I really don't care about that. What I care about is saving lives. And I think I've saved tens of millions of lives. If you look at India, Pakistan, just as won 2 nuclear powers, you look at so many of the countries that were in in some cases, a 35-year war, and they got it done. We stopped 8 wars, and maybe we'll be stopping the 9th very soon. We'll see.
What do you plan to say to European leaders in Davos when they push back on your Greenland plan?
Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know
Now, the EU is definitely still pushing back on the United States. They're threatening to send more troops. They're setting to initiate a bazooka option on the United States, which involves sanctions and fines and all this good stuff. So it does seem like NATO is pretty serious about what's going on in Greenland, and they don't like what Trump is doing. Or, I mean, I guess they just don't care about American interests, which makes sense. You know, what's good for them is good for them. What's good for us, well, isn't good for them.
leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the vote went there 500 years ago.
Oh, guys, make sure we double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Stu's still under a shadow ban. So, hey, man, let's make sure we still got that engagement by double tapping the screen.
Go and then left. That doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people. We've had tremendous success, and I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay. I've done more than any other American president for NATO by far, and we'll see how that goes. But Greenland is very important.
You invited President Putin to be a member of the border team?
Yeah, he's been invited.
Have you responded to President Macron saying he will not join the border team?
Did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. That's all right. What I'll do is, if they feel like Costa, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
Did you invite President Putin to join the...
Yes, he's one of the people. These are world leaders, and the answer is yes. Amazing. Tomorrow is the first year. Think of it, 1 year. I don't think there's been a term like it. I don't think any president has had a better first year than we've had in terms of success. Again, we've taken our country from a failure with open borders, no business, everything going badly, horrific inflation, the highest inflation in history, prices that are through the roof. And we've brought prices down. We have very little inflation. We have a great economy. And the prices are coming down still further. But I inherited a mess, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Mr. President, do you think that you had any influence on the Giants having to deal with Coach Harbaugh? How do you think he'll do in New York?
I don't know, but they got a great coach. I like the coach. I like his brother. They came up to see me with about 3 months ago. They came up to see me in the White House. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
With the mother and father, because the mother likes me and the father likes me, and I think they like me. And he's a great coach, and he's going to do well with the Giants, just like his brother does so well. They got something very special in their blood, and I'm happy for the Giants. They got a great coach. It's nice that you ask. I put out a strong word. Hire Coach Harbaugh.
President, can you tell us on the Fed, will you make a decision before now?
Yeah, I know who I want.
You know, March?
In the Fed.
When will you make a decision?
I'll announce it sometime, but I know who I want.
You mentioned securing the Arctic from Russian threats is important to you. Why are you upset about NATO allies thinking that, more seriously Greenland by holding military exercises?
Well, that wasn't a military. They sent a few people, and they say they sent them not for me, but to guard against Russia. But NATO's been warning Denmark for about 20 years now, longer than that, 25 years. They've been warning Denmark about the Russian threat. And it's not only Russia, it's also China. So we'll see what happens. But let's put it this way. It's going to be a very interesting Davos. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good flight. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to this press conference that Trump had as well. Right here, shout out. All right.
Period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced. All page after page after page, individual things. I could stand here and read it for a week and we wouldn't be finished. But we've done more than any other administration has done by far in terms of military, in terms of ending wars, in terms of completing wars. Nobody's really seen very much like it. I think it's appropriate that because Minnesota is so much in the fray, and I say to my people all the time, and they're so busy doing other things, they don't say it like they should. They're apprehending murderers and drug dealers, and a lot of bad people, and these are just some of the more recent ones that we have, and I can show you some of the people, vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? Because people don't know.
I mean, yeah, of course they don't want to talk about the criminals that we're getting out of Minnesota. Instead, they rather radicalize people against ICE, but never want to point out all of the criminals that ICE is taking off of their streets. Like, you know, it is kind of funny how the Dems will do all that fear mongering, but will never tell you about all the good that ICE is doing by taking these criminals. And a lot of these guys are sexual deviants off the streets.
Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, they're apprehended and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all of the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by a previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers. They're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers. They're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota, California. It's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes Benzes, and they come from here. They have no money.
I mean, yeah, it does seem like, well, there's some crazy things going on in Minnesota, especially with all of these fraudulent businesses that are popping up. I mean, not just Nick Shirley are pulling up there, but other independent media guys are pulling up there. And yeah, they're finding these rented out rooms or office spaces that's supposed to have like 60 kids in there, which is impossible to fit in a very small rented office space, but they're receiving about $1 million or so a year from the government. So it is pretty strange that this has been happening. It's proliferated under under Tim Walz. This is why he's not running for re-election. And then while that's also going on, he's letting these ICE protests get out of hand. So we got a man who's letting crime get out of hand, immigration get out of hand, and of course, fraud. I mean, I can only imagine how bad California is, because we all know that California is way worse. We all know that.
Never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country, because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman.
Well, no, well, from her marriage, I think she married a political consultant. Her husband has a political consultant company, and that's really where she gets her net worth from, is her husband.
So here is another one. And I have, oh, by the way, we just took out, these are all what ICE is doing. And it's a dangerous job. These are rough people. Weapons. This one here is very bad. I'm going through this because I think we have plenty of time. I'm going to beautiful place in Switzerland where we'll be. I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for. In Switzerland, they don't know about this. They don't have this problem. They have other problems, but they don't have this problem. Look, killed somebody. And these are rough people. These are not, this was all allowed into our country through open borders. The dumbest policies, men and women's sports is dumb. But to me, having an open border for the world to come in, drug dealers and prisoners, Venezuela, as an example, opened their prisons into the United States. That's why one of the reasons I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice.
Damn.
And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maria, maybe we can do that. But we're dealing with the people and the president and all of the people in Venezuela, and we've been doing great. The oil companies are getting ready to make massive investments there. They have more oil than even Saudi Arabia. There you go.
No.
These are real.
So here's honestly, here is the real reason why we kind of took over Venezuela. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could say it was because they was working with the cartel, but one of the main reasons is that they're working with, one of the worst cartels in the world, which is the CCP, aka the Chinese government. And they was working really closely with them. They was about to turn over to BRICS currency to start buying oil in the Chinese yuan, which would have further brought down the power of our dollar, and we can't afford that. So pretty much we went in there mainly, yes, for the oil and for resources, but also for influence in Venezuela, for overall influence in Venezuela, because we're trying to kick out all of the Chinese and Russian influence. And I mean, trust me, Greenland has a lot to do with that, because China owns a lot of mining operations in Greenland. I mean, surprise, surprise. That NATO is trying to defend for some reason. Let's not forget that.
These are rough ones. This is all Minnesota, every one of them. This is one state out of many. And these people are, let's see, these are all so far people that came from outside of the country. They were allowed in by Sleepy Joe Biden, Crooked Joe Biden, whichever you like. You can call him whatever you like. They're both right. He's sleepy and he's crooked. He was the worst president we've ever had. And we've had some bad ones too. I can tell you, all you have to do is look at trade. You're not getting bored with this, right? I hope you don't.
I'm done.
But these are people that you have to see.
Jeez, I'm like, you got a whole stack of them.
Strong arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and many other crimes.
Damn.
gang member, known as one of the toughest people around. These are
Minnesota's
tough
most
people.
wanted. Yo, did you really just
So
spend?
this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country,
Yeah.
bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they
I
want.
mean, let's just be honest. ICE, they're honestly doing their job and they're doing what it takes to keep America safe. And that is getting all these criminals off the street, plus the illegals. Because, well, honestly, being in America should mean something. Like, you shouldn't be able to break our laws, get into this country, then we all of a sudden we just treat you like a citizen. I mean, then what the hell are we saying to the people who actually do it the legal way? It's not really fair, but I mean, sometimes I guess the Democrats don't care about fairness when it comes to their feelings about, well, their illegal neighbor.
I do. But I know you did. I know you didn't. So, but here's the book. These are all things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These are all, each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world. So I will read you a few. We ended Biden's stagflation. We were in stagflation. That's a disaster. That's far worse than inflation. As you know, he had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. Pick your choice. But they had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. We have it right down to a normal number now. We're going to get it even a little bit lower. Created super high. What we've done with growth is incredible. We created super high economic growth. And America is booming. It's booming. There are thousands of businesses right now that are being built. Many of the biggest factories in the world are being built right in our country. They're not going to other countries. They're leaving other countries. Fourth quarter GDP is on track to pass perhaps much more than 5% growth. And that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. They shut down our country and we had 5%. Nobody's in this room has ever heard about 5%. I think it could be 20%. If we do it right. If we don't, every time we have good numbers, they raise interest rates. You shouldn't do it. In the old days, if you had good numbers, they'd lower interest rates, or they wouldn't do anything. Here, they try and kill it. They always try and kill success. Over the last 20, 25 years, that's the way. In the old days, if you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. Today, if you have good numbers, the market goes down. But by the way, we've had the best stock market in history, the best 401ks in history. And we inherited a mess. The numbers that we inherited were way up, and now we brought them, almost all of them, way down. We brought them way down. I mean, I'm not getting, maybe I have the bad public relations people, but we're not getting it across. We inherited high numbers, and we brought them way down. And look at gasoline. They have places in the country now, $1.99 a gallon, $1.99, $2.30, $2.50. I guess the average now they're saying is $2.31. I mean, he was at $4.50 and $5 for periods of time. And he went back to the Trump formula, but he didn't do it properly. And he really went back to parts of it because you would have had $8 gasoline if they didn't. But he didn't do it properly. He had people that didn't know what they were doing. Core inflation for the last 3 months is 1.6%. 1.6. Their core inflation was so high that nobody could even calculate it. Under Biden, real incomes declined $3,000. Think of that, $3,000. That's a year. In 12 months, Trump real incomes went up by $2,000 and $3,000 and even in some cases $5,000. It's a tremendous difference. Stock market has set 52 all-time record highs during the course of the 11 months, because this was done on 11 months. Now we are actually officially 12 months as of today.
But all right, now let's go ahead and get to these questions. You know, the best part of these Trump press conferences.
Fire up those big plans. I said, well, are under construction already. They're going to have, I never went to them. I never even thought to go to them. They should be able to secure As an example, Iceland, without tariffs, they wouldn't even be talking to us about it. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to work out quite well. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr. President. How would you characterize your
Lula from Brazil?
There we go.
Since I took office, drug dealers are way down in the United States. And that's a small version of what's sitting right there. That's just a small version. We took a country that was dead, and it's the hottest country in the world right now. And that's after 1 year. So let's go. That's a lot of people. Please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. One, do you want your Board of Peace to replace the UN?
Well, it might. I mean, the UN just hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of the UN potential, but it has never lived up to its potential. The UN should have settled every one of the wars that I settled. I never went to them. I never even thought to go to them. They should be able to settle those wars. They don't. I believe you got to let the UN continue because the potential is so great.
And another one, you invited Lula from Brazil to be part of the Board of Peace.
I did.
What role do you
I did.
expect him to play, especially
A big role. I like him.
Venezuela?
Yeah.
And
I like-
another one, because the
Are you from Brazil?
Yes. The EU and Mercosur just signed a trade agreement this weekend, which is going to be the biggest trade zone, free zone in the world.
Right.
At the moment, you are talking a lot about tariffs. What is your reaction to that? So, two questions, Lula.
Well, I just think this. I think we have trade like we've never had before. We're doing better in trade than we ever have before.
True.
We're not being ripped off.
I mean, we cut the trade deficit in half. Well, Trump cut the trade deficit in half. So shout out to Trump. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he was able to get some great trade deals with these European countries. I mean, the EU deal was probably the most surprising one. The fact that they took a 15% tariff and they've promised to go ahead and invest like $650 billion into the US. Now, that may be on the line due to our actions and due to our actions in Greenland, but it was still a pretty impressive feat. But let's not also forget about the deal he did with South Korea, Japan, Thailand. I mean, so we can't sit here and say that the tariffs didn't help out. Oh, and he also got not Venezuela, but Vietnam to stop switching their labels out for China so they can avoid tariffs. I mean, he did. Hey, he got some of these countries started following trade law and got a better deal with them.
By every country in the world, like we were before, we're doing numbers that nobody's ever thought possible. We're the richest we ever were. It's because of tariffs and the proper use of tariffs. And we're also the most secure. As an example, Iceland, without tariffs, they wouldn't even be talking to us about it. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to work out quite well. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr. President. How would you characterize your relationship with Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer right now? And have you spoken to them since your Truth Social post last
No, I
night?
haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I mean, they always treat me well. They get a little bit rough when they're, when I'm not around, but when I'm around, they treat me very nicely. And, I like both of them. They're both liberal. They've got to straighten out their countries. You can't, London is having a lot of problems. And if you look at Paris, got a lot of problems. They have two problems, immigration and energy. They got to stop with the windmills and they got to go back like UK has an unbelievable asset called the North Sea. Norway uses it, makes a fortune. They have a better section of it, and they don't do it. They could straighten out their countries, and it would be good. But I get along very well.
You told Norway's prime minister.
Are you from Norway?
No.
You look like you would be from Norway. She looks like she's from Norway. Go ahead.
You told Norway's prime minister that you not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars. I've had every one of those wars, every participant wrote, I didn't ask him to do it. They sent in strong they make recommendations for that. But I settled 8 wars. No president's probably ever settled 1 war. I don't know. Think of it. I did 8. The reason I do it is because it's easy for me to do. And I didn't do it for a Nobel Prize. I did it because I'm saving a lot of lives. I'm trying to settle the final one. I'm trying to do Russia, Ukraine. And when Russia's ready, Ukraine's not. When Ukraine's ready, Russia's not. But they're losing 25,000 people a month on average.
Now, to speak on the whole Nobel Peace Prize thing, it was kind of hilarious how Maria Cachado got the Nobel Peace Prize when Trump is literally going after, was literally going after Maduro, and he's the one who captured Maduro. You know, the same Maduro that they gave Maria Cachado the prize for going against. Yes, for going against the dictator Maduro, they gave her a Nobel Peace Prize. I was like, but isn't Trump actually putting, actual military force into this, and he don't get nothing? But I mean, hey, respect to Maria Cachado. It is what it is.
And I'm trying to get that one done. But no, I feel that Norway has tremendous control over who gets the Nobel Prize, despite what they say.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Damn. Hey, yo. Hey, no. That's crazy. He said, you'll find out. Like, what? He didn't have to be so ominous about it, but I guess we will. Like I said, we gave Greenland two options. Either we can buy you or we can take it. And the problem is NATO can send their 30 or so troops over there, but that's still not going to stop us from taking it. And all that does is make America want to pull out of NATO. Then what? NATO's going to fight us and try to help Russia and try to help Ukraine fight back Russia. I mean, NATO, let's be real. We kind of are most of your military power.
Are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Kevin Hassett has said that those $2,000 tariff rebate checks would be up to Congress to decide whether or not to disperse that. Do you agree with Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
No, I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of income limit where it made sense, but we will be able to make a very substantial dividend to the people of our country. I believe we can do that without Congress.
Last night on Truth Social, you said that the British plan to hand the base of Diego Garcia over to Mauritius and then rent it back was an act of great stupidity. Previously, you backed that deal. Is it now your position that the deal should not go ahead?
I think that they, when they originally were going to do it, they were talking about doing some concept of ownership. But now they're looking to essentially just do a lease and sell it. And I'm against that. It's a reasonably nothing like Greenland, but it's a reasonably important area of the globe. Not to anywhere near Greenland, but I think they should keep it. I don't know why they're doing it. Do they need money?
Mr. President, with your support to the Syrian government, most probably you avoided another civil war and a bloodshed in Syria, especially after the fall of the regime.
I did a good job.
And, the Syrian government, the last 2 weeks, had to use some force to implement its force on specific areas. And
well,
with
to keep the prisoners, the terrorist prisoners, which are some of the worst in the world, at bay. So they were able to keep that. He's working very hard. The president of Syria is working very hard. Strong guy, tough guy, pretty rough resume.
But he's still fighting rebel groups and all. It's basically still somewhat of a three-way war going on in Syria. I mean, sure, now the side that we support is progressing through, but they are basically still fighting out there in Syria.
They're not going to put a choir boy in there and, get the job done. I spoke with him yesterday because we were talking about the prisons and, what was going on. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world in those prisons, and he's watching it.
Syria.
Mr. President, Gavin Newsom is going to be at Davos. If he's not already there, you're probably going to run into him. I presume that this is for him to raise his platform for 2028, but what do you anticipate his foreign policy platform is going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be the nominee. I know this. I had a very good relationship with Gavin Newsom when we were, in office together. I was president. He was the governor of California. We had he would talk about it often, and somewhere we just went astray. I just hate the way California is being run. We actually have people leaving. It's never happened before, but I hate the way it's being run. He and I had a very good relationship, really close to the word exceptional, but now we seem not to.
President Trump, you spoke earlier.
Mr. President, you've been hearing from allies.
Thank you. Thank you so much, President Trump. Kara Castronovo from Lindell TV. And you spoke earlier about the 2020 election. Now that Maduro is in U.S. custody and he was criminally charged, has any more information emerged that you could share with us regarding Venezuelan election software and Venezuelan ties to tampering with the 2020 election? And would you consider speaking to Maduro personally in prison in New York to get some answers on Venezuela's involvement with the 2020 election?
No, I don't think I would be doing that. I think my lawyers would be very unhappy if I did. Yeah, they've learned some things. Please.
What happens to the tariff threat to Greenland if the Supreme Court comes out and rules against you on the tariffs? And
well, I'll have to use
more strict measures, because here's the problem. I mean, here was the craziest thing, because they actually might, honestly, I think the Supreme Court is going to rule in the favor of Trump, because one of their arguments was, well, you're telling me that the Trump can propose he can propose 100% embargo, but he can't propose a 1% tariff. And that was literally one of their arguments. And I'm just like, okay, well, thank you for letting him know what he can do. So, yeah, it's either a tariff or an embargo. And now that the Supreme Court know where Trump stands with Greenland, they're like, yeah, we might as well let him keep the tariffs, because if we take that away, he can always do an embargo.
Something else. I mean,
are
look,
you going to use force?
take a look at the word license, take a look at other things. I mean, we have other alternatives, but what we're doing now is the best, the strongest, the fastest, the easiest, the least complicated.
Sir, if you move ahead with the Greenland-related tariffs on Europe, you secured almost $1 trillion of commitments from them to invest in the United States. Does that go kaput out the window if that happens?
I doubt it. Look, they need that agreement very badly with us. They really do. They fought very hard to get it. So I doubt that, but we'll see what happens. We have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. I'm leaving tonight, as you know, Davos, and we have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. And I think things are going to work out pretty well, actually.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you still go to Paris for the G7 emergency meeting as offered by President Macron?
No, I wouldn't do that. Because, Emmanuel's not going to be there very long. And, there's no longevity there. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice guy. I like Macron, but he's not going to be there very much longer, as you know. And I think, I have meetings with the people that are directly involved, not some of the people you're talking about.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy
I've
New Year.
never seen this room like this. Is this a celebration of the first year? Yes. Have you ever seen it? I've never seen this many. I hope we have a very good structural floor. This used to be a swimming pool. You're sitting over a swimming pool. I could see that happening. But we need a good structure here, don't we, huh? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy 1 year anniversary.
Thank you.
And my question is on Syria. The Kurds, as the most loyal U.S. partners, facing attacks by some Syrian elements within the Syrian government. Will you do to ensure the Kurdish rights protected and their effective forces against terrorism in Rojava, Syria continue, as the Kurdish see you as a president does not abandon his allies?
Well, I like the Kurds, but just so you understand, the Kurds were paid tremendous amounts of money, were given oil and other things. So they were doing it for themselves, more so than they were doing it for us. But we got along with the Kurds, and we are trying to protect the Kurds. That's correct.
Ahead of your speech in Davos, can you give us a preview of what we can expect as far as laying out the plans for Americans to be able to buy homes?
Yeah. I love how he called that out. It's like, yeah, well, a lot of these groups, they say that they like us, but honestly, it's because we just give them money. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's like pretty much with our relation with the NATO countries and all the EU countries. It's all about money. But they say they're for our best interest, but it's all about money.
More than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months.
Hey,
And,
shout out Denmark.
you know, I say it often. We have the most successful country in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. And this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead. And I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be, because, you know, a lot of them could use some of the advice as to what we did. They need energy. You take a look at their energy policy, they're going to destroy themselves with what they're doing with the windmills and all the nonsense. They need energy help badly, or they're going to be in big trouble, and they need immigration help badly. How much longer do you want to go?
Call it.
I do. I have a very important call with President Erdogan, who I like a lot. All right, one or two more questions. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. During
Go
your
ahead,
second,
please. Go ahead.
One question about the vehicle we had one.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The red blouse. Go ahead.
You talked a lot at the beginning of this about the economy, some positive economic indicators. Polling shows a majority of Americans don't feel the economy is doing well. Are you worried you're making the same mistake as President Biden?
No, I hope I don't make the same mistake as him. Look, I inherited a terrible, it's a great question, because we inherited a terrible, terrible mess between the border, between all the problems. The whole country was falling apart. And in 12 months, less than 12 months, in 12 months, we have the strongest border we've ever had. We have prices that are much, much lower than they were for the last. We inherited very high prices. We inherited, remember this, inflation was at a historic high. We had never had inflation like that. They say 48 years, but whether it's 48 years or ever, we had the highest inflation, in my opinion, that we've ever had. Prices, because of that, were very high. I inherited, we brought down eggs immediately. Remember the first news conference, they were screaming at me about eggs. I was in the position for 2 days, and we brought eggs down to lower than what they were before. And by the way, they continue that way. We brought the prices down from when I came into office and from what Biden had, way down. We're going to bring them down further. But the job we did is
you got to give it to him, though. Now, you remember when he first came in, they was talking about, the egg price. Well, egg price, what? They went from $8.99 to $3.99. Gas prices were, there was about that $4 or $5. Now we're looking at what? $2.69, about $2.79 nationwide. And then, of course, he brought down inflation, completely took care of it, because trust me, the price increase from inflation ain't going nowhere. We're mainly depending on the growth of the economy and, of course, the increasing of wages. The wages don't increase, then inflation is going to stay being a problem. Affordability is going to stay being a problem because the price increase from inflation isn't really going nowhere. But the rapid increase of pricing has slowed down because Trump have brought down inflation.
A miracle. One of the reasons I'm doing this today is to explain we inherited a mess and we've made it a beautiful, beautiful picture. Think of gasoline at $1.99 in many states. $1.99 a gallon. It was $4.50, $5, in some cases $6 or $7. We're at $1.99. And energy is so big that with energy, everything else comes down. But the prices are coming way down, and we're going to bring them down further. But we started up here with these guys. We inherited a country that was broken. We inherited a country, and I have a very warm spot. We've done very, very well with Venezuela. And by the way, that even in itself is going to help us bring down the oil prices. The Venezuelan oil, we've taken 50 million gallons of oil. We've taken 50 million barrels of oil out of Venezuela in the first 4 days. We've got millions of barrels of oil left. We're selling it on the open market. We're bringing down oil prices incredibly. And when they come down, and they've already come down, again, $1.99 a gallon for oil. Nobody thought they'd ever see it. All right, one or two more. Go ahead, go. Yes.
I want to ask you about Iran.
Is the military option still on the table? And can you assure us that the killing in Iran has stopped?
Most
And
likely
in
not.
regard to your peace council, which members have to pay $1
So with
billion?
Iran, are you from Iran?
No, I cover the White House.
Where are you from?
I'm Palestinian American.
So with Iran, they were going to hang 837 people, and I let them be known that, and we let them know that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them.
I mean, it's too late. Iran is already hanging. And the problem, well, here's the thing, though. They're only hanging the protesters that did crimes against God. So not all 800 of these protesters that they set to be executed. No, they paused some of them, but they went ahead with a good amount, which were they said to be crimes against God. You know, whatever that means. And I mean, you know what? If I could actually tell you what that means, well, it means that it's the guys who pretty much burned down the mosque in Iran.
And they decided not to do it. They didn't hang the people. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but supposedly they've taken that off the table. But they were going to, last week, they were going to hang on Thursday or Wednesday. They were going to hang, I think, 837 people.
Yep.
And they didn't.
Now they already hung somebody. They already what was his name was Ali something, but they said that well he was hung because he had direct ties to Mossad. They took his phone. They seen that he was texting a known Mossad agent with instruction on how to incite more violence and the protests and all this good stuff. So yeah, they executed him immediately.
Hang anybody. So we're just going to have to see what happens with Iran. Is the military option off the table? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President Trump. Thank you, President
Go
Trump.
ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead, I'll take your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, right here.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised during your second inaugural to always put America first. I'm curious, how would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Why is this prize so important?
It wouldn't improve the lives of any. What improved the lives of people are people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. You know, if you add up the numbers, just if you look at any one of those wars, you're talking about millions of people. You multiply it times 8. But when you look at India and Pakistan, that could have been 10, 15, 20 million people. Could have been more than that. So I saved millions of people. So that to me is the big thing. What?
You suggested a moment ago that perhaps the reason why a positive story about the economy isn't getting through is because of, bad communications people. But are average Americans wrong to still feel high prices? And how much longer does the White House hope that they?
So I think a lot of people.
I would also hit him with this as well, because Trump needs to take the opportunity to start punching back on the left about this affordability problem or affordability crisis, because it's kind of crazy that this is coming from the people who run the most unaffordable states and unaffordable cities in America. And I would also point out that things are, let's see, like from where I'm at in Ohio, it's about 30% more to buy groceries. Well, in New York. So I pay less in groceries, 30% less in groceries than somebody who lives in New York. It's the same in California, Colorado, Minnesota. All of these blue states are more expensive than red states. And I would have to point that out. And I would also tell Trump, yo, this is how you can win the midterm, by telling them to hold their own accountable and be like, yeah, prices are going down in red states. Red states are actually seeing more jobs come in and wages go up. But over here in blue states, we're kind of just seeing more taxes put on us. And that needs to be called out. And I'm not sure why Trump or nobody in his camp has put that in his ear, because it's really easy to point out. They have the numbers. It's all out there for you to see.
Are listening to the fake news a little bit. And I'm not blaming anybody. I think I blame ourselves. I think we've done a much better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and then don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down. But they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong. But if you go back a year and a half, 2 years, take a look at those prices and look at the prices now.
Mr. President of Venezuela, you made a condition.
Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
Nice place.
Thank you. You made a condition that the political prisoners should be freed. It seems that they are not being as fast as they promised in the beginning. Would that be an issue for the current government?
They've agreed that they're going to let, I guess, most of them out. Or depends on what they did, but they have released a lot of. Released a lot of political prisoners in Venezuela.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they released Maria Cachado's allies, political allies, and well, here's the problem though: most of her political allies left Venezuela, and the ones who didn't leave got arrested. Now, the ones who got arrested have been released, but that doesn't mean that Maria Cachado is going to be, Venezuela's leader. Actually, it does seem like the Trump administration is deciding to, work with Delcy Rodriguez and the gang, or I guess the Maduro regime, pretty much, and they're going to play a little bit nicer with Trump than Maduro was, or they're going to give everything Trump wants, like access to their oil reserves and more.
On last year, you had indicated that you wanted to take back the Panama Canal. I know we've heard a lot about Greenland. Is that still on the table?
I don't want to tell you that. Sort of. I must. Sort of. That's sort of. Okay, one more. Yes, blonde, blue. Yes, go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead with the blue, holding the computer.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of it's very interesting. So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before.
And let's be honest, I do believe that NATO is honestly just posturing. I don't really think they're willing to go to war with the United States or any type of battle with us, because that's a battle they're not going to win. While also, think about it. These guys are supposed to be supplying weapons to Ukraine. So, I mean, they'd have to divert some of that, leave Ukraine out to dry, and let them get decimated by Russia, and while they're fighting us and not really gaining any ground on that. I mean, it's not a good decision that NATO's doing. It's best they kind of just let America get this one off instead of stoking global tensions over and trying to wave the finger at us. They should honestly just say nothing and continue getting our support in Ukraine. But hey, I'm seeing they're trying to F that up as well.
So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before, in every way. Getting them to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was possible, and pay. At 2%, they weren't paying. At 5%, they are paying. And they're buying a lot of things from us, and they're giving them, I guess, to Ukraine. That's up to them, but they're giving them to whoever they're giving them to, but they're buying a lot. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy, and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
Thank you very much. First of all, last year you told me that you believe that the reason you won the election is because God put you in this place so that you could save the world. Looking back 1 year, do you feel like God is proud of the effort that you've put in?
I do, actually. I think God is very proud of the job I've done. And that includes for religion. We're protecting a lot of people that are being killed. Christians, Jewish people, and lots of people are being protected by.
I would never answer that question like that. I would just say, you know what? I wouldn't really bring religion into politics, especially being the president, because apparently in order to bring peace to your people, you got to get violent with some people. It is what it is. It ain't the most saintly thing to do. It ain't the most godly thing to do, but it's what must be done.
Me that wouldn't be protected by another type of president. No, I think a lot of people are very proud of the job we've done. We've had an amazing year. This has been one of the greatest years. Even some people that wouldn't necessarily love me instinctively, they're saying this was an incredible year. We've had an incredible year economically. Look at our border. Our border was a disaster. People poured. It was an invasion into our country of a lot of very bad people, good people too, but a lot of very bad people from prisons and drug dealers and gangs and horrible people, murderers, thousands and thousands of murderers allowed into our country. And we now have the strongest border of any country. There's probably not a country, I guess North Korea has a pretty strong border, by the way, but there's not a country in the world that has a border like we do. And we took it from the worst border. We had the worst border in the world. Now we have one of the strongest borders in the world. One more question.
You said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
What
I
gives
haven't.
the
I
U.S.
haven't.
the right to
I
take away
haven't
that
spoken.
self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
They said they don't want to be a part of the U.S. What gives them the right to not? I mean, here's the problem, sweetheart. Like what Trump is establishing is like basically a 3-empire world order that it looks like we don't really got a choice in. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a joke about it at the end of the live, but I'm just gonna tell you this right now. The way this is all going is that look, if it's in our hemisphere, it's ours. We control their self-interest. Actually, no. F their self-interest. It's all about if they're working within our self-interest and the people live in peace under our self-interest, just like the American people do. So the problem is that we're making sure that we're the only interest in our side of the hemisphere. I'm sorry, but the 3 to 40,000 people in Greenland, yeah, they just don't mean that much to the American, Americans' position in the world, our dollar, our self-interest when it comes to, the molybdenum, which is this rare earth mineral that gives us this high temperature steel or metal that we put for our jets. Yeah, I'm sorry, but all 30,000 or 40,000 of y'all, it just don't mean that much. I'm sorry. I know we got somebody in from Denmark in the chat, and I'm like, I honestly wonder how you guys feel about this, the fact that we might just be taking Greenland from you guys. And would you be willing to fight about it? Now, I hope not. I hope you just let us have that, but we'll see. We'll see. Because it seems that Trump is determined and he's willing to use possibly military force, but it looks like he's willing to take the peace away of purchasing it, which would, suck for us, because I ain't gonna lie, $700 billion is a lot.
NATO? Mr. President, are you committed to keeping the U.S. in NATO?
I've had such a good relationship. I've made it so much better, so much stronger. It's so good now. NATO is so much stronger now. I don't agree with a lot of the things they've done, but that was done before I got there. I think NATO's been good. Sometimes it's overrated, sometimes it's not. But we have a strong NATO. When I came here, we had a weak NATO. We had a NATO at 2%, and they weren't paying. You had a nothing NATO. NATO's, whether you like it or not, it's only as good as we are. If NATO doesn't have us, NATO is not very strong.
True. That's what I'm saying. Like, the only real power that NATO had was the fact that America's in it. That's the only real power. Like, if we pulled out, scary enough, I wouldn't be surprised if Putin literally did start making moves on Europe at that point. I wouldn't be surprised. And NATO would sit there with the salty face thinking like, maybe we didn't, push away from the one guy that kept, these superpowers away from us. Because then it's going to be a free-for-all for Europe. It's going to be a free-for-all for, China and Russia on Europe. They're going to pick their favorite European countries and split all of Europe up. And you're going to align with their self-interest. And you're not going to like their self-interest. Putin a dictator, Xi's a dictator. You're not going to like that. So you're sure you want to go against America? You're sure? Because your next option is Xi. And then Putin. Y'all don't like Putin, so you're going to go with Xi, the communist dictator? All right, then. Y'all chose.
Yes, no, behind you, please.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yes, go ahead.
Really appreciate it, sir. We heard a long list of accomplishments from the last year. Could you cherry pick the top 3? And then looking forward, what are your 3 most important priorities of 2026?
So I think the building of a really powerful military has been a great achievement, and that would include the Venezuela thing. That would include the attack on Iran and the wiping out of the nuclear threat. I think that's been really amazing what we've done militarily. I think what we've done in business has been incredible. We have $18 trillion coming in. Plants are being built all over. Thousands of plants are being built all over the country. 18 trillion is a record. No country has ever come anywhere even close to that. I think that's a record. And I think that most favored nations for drugs is something that nobody thought they'd be able to get. Tariffs helped me there because the nations would have never gone along with it if I wasn't able to say, if you don't go along with it, we're going to put a 10 or 15 or 20% tariff on your nation. And they went along. And our drug prices are going to come down at numbers never even seen before, never even thought possible before. So those would be three things. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
And that's all.
Go Indiana.
Nope, not at all. But all right, I guess that's enough Trump. Well, I guess that's enough for Trump at that point. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end it on this note, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll probably go live later on, do a media analysis, and then I'll probably be off for the night. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is Set with Set Media. Peace.
Trump just sent this letter to the Prime Minister of Norway. He's talking about Greenland, of course. He says, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it'll always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. So let me get this straight. One reason we're risking the security of the free world trying to conquer a NATO territory is because Trump didn't win a Nobel Peace Prize. This man is insane. I mean, this is classic Trump being Trump. In a world of politically correct buffoons who sound great but do nothing, Trump adds a little humor. That's all this is. Except in public and behind the scenes, Trump was lobbying for himself to win the Nobel Prize for months. And when he didn't, he was notably upset. And it did turn to policy changes. It was reported it led to him being sour about the Venezuelan oppositional leader who did win it, Maria Corina Machado, which led to her feeling forced to give her prize to him, trying to vie for his support in Venezuela. That's absurd. The real reason Trump hasn't boosted her is because it would be too hard to just plop her into leadership. It's logistically easier to work with the Venezuelan interim president. No one gives away their Nobel Peace Prize unless they feel like it'll help their people. And now Trump is literally saying he's making decisions based off the prize to other leaders, and you still say it's a joke. The future of NATO is at risk. The US-EU trade deal on pause. The EU's never-before-used bazooka option is being discussed to be used on us. This is far more than a joke. Look, there's a reasonable argument to suggest the future security of the free world is better suited if the US has Greenland. One letter about a Nobel Prize directly to the Norway Prime Minister is playful in nature. This man is pathologically insane. Wake the heck up. He's 79 years old. He's realized his time and power is coming to an end, so he's not thinking straight. He's trying to make a real estate accusation of a NATO territory. He's willing to take everything else